Let's get to the footy. There's a lot to digest. Hawthorn becoming an interesting story, underperforming, and Jordan Lewis, the premiership player, multiple premiership player, raised the stakes this morning, questioning whether Alastair Clarkson was the man. Ben McAvoy with his response soon after.
No doubt he's the best coach in the league, but whether you want to go back down that rebuilding phase, because it's not quick, it's a 3 to 5 year process. So whether he has that type of energy in him or whether it's a Sam Mitchell that is just sitting in waiting, because a rebuild is highly zapping for a coach that's been around for so long.
Lewis just got himself a new job in the media. He's entitled to his opinion. Does he remember Clarko? Has there ever been a more enthusiastic guy? He's still unbelievably passionate for the game, for this footy club. No chance that's accurate.
It's that type of year where you have your ups and downs, but I think it was the way they lost on the weekend. They were brilliant a few weeks ago against the Tigers, but I think we look at when they do lose and how badly they lose and the age demographic of their list. That's a real concern, Hutch, and it wasn't this long ago. It was just top round last year where Clarko said this about his own playing list.
Looking at our group and saying, listen, we're a middle of the road side. So we can keep going down that track, end up middle of the road side for the next 4 or 5 years, but that's not the way we go about it.
In a weird way, he's done a great job of outrunning his own draft picks because the recruiting has been not ideal. They've topped up at his direction and it hasn't worked. And this time around, he'll need to find another trick, Lord. I want to know what your opinion is, and you too, Kane, on Jordan Lewis's comments. Is he the right guy to rebuild, and do they need to go to the draft to do it?
Kane, my opinion, before I go to you, is that I think if he's willing to do it, I know I'd back in Alastair Clarkson over a young coach in Sam Mitchell, if he is willing to do it. But if he's going to go head-to-head...
Does someone need to tell him that is the path they need to go on?
I think we spoke about this 4 weeks ago. I think Graham Wright and he should be going toe-to-toe. Graham Wright pushing as hard as he's ever gone before to say, yes, we can be competitive, yes, we can finish 8th, 9th and 10th, but when you win 3 premierships in a row, you don't get good access to draft picks. But that's what we need to get back to doing, Kane, because they don't have too many guys who can probably take them to the next premiership at Hawthorn that's currently on their list.
For a coach that's been ahead of the curve, he's been fighting this one for a long time. And those comments about being middle of the road have been the case for Hawthorn for probably 2 seasons now. And he doesn't appear to want to do that and go through the 3 to 5 years of pain that Jordan Lewis is speaking about. So he needs to acknowledge that and go back to go forward, because at the moment, this list that they've got, Hutchie, is not going to get them anywhere.
But that's the whole problem. He's so brilliant at what he's done and entitled. It's a bit like the last dance with Michael Jordan. When you've won so many times, you get the keys, and every time he's had the keys, it's worked. At some point, the key isn't going to work.
The last premiership was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and they did re-sign him until the end of 2022. What intrigues me, Matthew, is the political side of it is that Jeff Kennett has been asked to stay, not just for one more year, but one more term. So I think there needs to be a meshing of the two views, and if Jeff Kennett's going to stay and Alastair Clarkson's keen to stay, Kaney's got 2 more years.
They'll give him the chance to rebuild the team.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is him accepting that's what...
Oh, he'll accept it.
That's
what it is, Hutchie. He needs to acknowledge it. And we've seen the power he's got over the AFL, Alastair Clarkson, so you can imagine the power he's got over his own club.
But they've got some. They made commitments. They've got Patton for 3 years. It's too early to make a call on this experiment. They didn't pay a lot for it, but you saw his frustration on the weekend. They've got some commitments to players that they are in the 26, 27, 28. It's a fair U-turn for me, Lordo.
Yeah, and this was amazing on the weekend. I don't think enough has been made of it. But here's Johnny Patton. The physio's come over to him, and he's telling him, saying things to him that you don't really say to physios and doctors. He's pretty much saying, get away from me, in stronger terms than that. And so, Kane, you just wonder, did Johnny believe that he shouldn't play? Was he not ready to play? Because it's hard to know, as disappointed as you are doing a hamstring, that you'd speak to a physio in that manner.
Confronting scenes, Lord. I haven't seen players deal with medicos like that. So perhaps there was something untoward going on before the game, whether he felt he may not be prepared. I mean, we're speculating on it until the club comments on it. But it was strange vision and pretty confronting vision, I thought.
Short term, is there any fix or any again, another panacea to get through for the next period?
They have to change things, and they scored 49 points against the GWS 2 weeks ago, 27 points against the Pies, and they had 11 inside 50s to half-time against Collingwood, which is unheard of. This is their back six at the moment. They cannot, as stubborn as Alastair Clarkson may be, go with this back six again. McAvoy, I'd say McAvoy or
where's the run?
Yeah, or Segler. Who's your ruckman? Pick one of them. Obviously, there's no run from any of those guys. And this is what I wanted to show. Down the other end, this is Isaac Quaynor. This would know what Hawthorn would do. They'd give it to that bloke wanting the ball, and then they'd be back out to the half-back flank or to the wing. They injected a guy by the name of Isaac Quaynor, picked 10 in the draft or 15 in the draft, and just because he took the game forward, this created an opportunity like this. Hawthorn have got to be willing to go for it. Here's another one from Quaynor, and we're going to show Hawthorn straight after this. His first instinct is to take the game forward, which you love as a forward. That's why their forward line, Myercheck, kicked 4 goals. But Kane, I'm about to show the opposite of what Hawthorn did in the first 40 seconds. And I've never seen Gunston so frustrated as what I saw. I saw him venting more so than I've ever seen. And you know why he's doing that? Because he wants the ball in the forward line. So this was the first 40 seconds of the game, and they kept giving up ground. And it seemed to me they didn't want to lose the game rather than going attacking it to win it, Kane.
Lordy, that's the most disappointing thing about Clarko's coaching this year that I've seen. I thought in that 8-9 weeks that he had off, he would have come up with something innovative, knowing how smart he is. One of the best coaches we've ever seen. But this is what we've got. We've got 91 uncontested marks for 32 inside 50s. Now, what was Clarko doing in the break to come up with something revolutionary to take the game on and take the game forward? Because their game style at the moment is they're 13th for scoring in the competition, and Melbourne and Essendon have 1 game in hand. So essentially they're 15th, which is a dramatic fall-off.
So I've got a name: Burgoyne, Isaac Smith, Gunston, Wingard, Impey back. They've got to just get guys on that half-back line to help them run.